Hello, friends. Welcome to Friday Sprinty Sprints. I feel like we're very. I got a new chair. That's too much the other way. See, okay, that feels better. Yeah, I got a new chair, and I feel like sometimes I feel too low, sometimes too high. So, thanks. Anyhow, hello. Welcome to Sprints. Let me know in the comments what you're doing this evening. I am reading The Creeping, as foreseen over here. And I will, as always, be spending the first sprint working on a reading planner, getting caught up. For those of you who don't know, I typically try to do 31 books in October, but this year was a reading slump year for me. It was not a good year. Please ignore me while I post that I'm sprinting, because I forgot to do that. But because this year was kind of a reading slump year for me, I decided to do 31 books for September and October, so that I have more time to try to get to my 31 books. And I finished book number 31 today. So everything from now to the end of the month is just extra funsies. Are you okay? Did you trip on that? I'm sorry. So yeah, I actually made it to 31. Now there have been years where I think the highest I've ever actually made it in October is to like 27. DNFs do count regardless of how much I've read, because the whole point is to get through, spooky books that were on my radar, or my TBR, not necessarily the physical one, but the TBR in general. So anything, even if I pick it up and I DNF it, it still counts. So I'm at 31, and I think 2 of those were DNFs this year. Yeah, baby, what are you doing? You being a cookie cat? No, only one. Oh no, there were 4 in September. So of the 31, 5 have been DNFs. That's rough. I didn't think it was that many. Harsh as a marsh. But there do be how things go sometimes. But I probably will read another 5 books this month. I have my TBR started out with 32 books, and then it kept growing because I was adding books from book clubs, things that I had forgotten that I wanted to read, a book that I wanted to reread, etc. So I'm up to 39 books on my TBR. I should theoretically finish all of those by the end of the month. In theory. Hey, baby, what you doing? You cuddling? Okay. But we'll see what happens. I don't know. Hello, Tennille. Yay for a new chair. Yes, I got a non-rolly chair, a non-up and down chair. It's just like a regular chair, like a regular old chair. It did end up being a little shorter than what I needed for this desk, because this desk is high. It's not average desk height, then this is not a desk chair. But the cushions were all removable, and it also had a cushion on it has like a footrest, and it had a cushion on that was the same size as the seat cushion. So I just put it on top of the seat cushion, so I'm double cushion high. It's very comfy. I fall asleep in it quite often. Usually when I wake up in the morning, either Merlin or Raja are asleep on it. So everybody's loving the new chair. Hello, Kellen. I'm glad you enjoyed the opening music. It is What is the opening song anymore? Can't remember. It should be in the description though. I was trying to think of the name of the song, but I can't. Hello, Sadia. Reading Night and the Moth. I've seen the cover for that. Don't know that it's my book, but I have seen it. Hello. Currently reading The Deathless One by Emma Ham. Hello, Ro. Tina's goal is to finish the current chapter in The Hills Have Spies and then see if I can read more of The Blood of Old Kings. Excuse you. Hello, Bree. Listening to The Floating World by Axie O. Blood of the Old Kings. I'm immersion reading, so it requires my eyes to be functioning at 9 p.m. onward. It's a good book, in my opinion, so far. We like that. Yeah. Cutler. Raja. She's a menace, and you know it. Hello, Michaela. At local book club tonight. I hope you're having a blast. I love book club, my local book club. So much fun. Uh, I love that you're at work. I mean, not that I love that you're at work, but I love that you're here while also being at work. You know? You know. 5 from 31 is still a positive success rate. It is, I mean, it's a lot though. I am I don't know. I read a lot with the exception of I think it was What Moves the Dead. I DNF'd pretty quick. And The Coven I DNF'd pretty quick. The others I've read at least half of in order to count them for readathons. So you gotta do the thing. Today I finished The Late Night Witches by her last name is Wallace. What's her first name? It's a mystery to me. Arlie. I have no idea what the name has to do with the book. I finished the book. But yeah, there you go. Okay. So to me, I talked to Julie a little bit about this because Julie also was like, I'm interested. What is it? What did it do? Um, you know, the it's part of the um there's like a subsect of genres of like the witchy books that they sell us with like the cute witchy titles. And it very much is in that category of ones that are, in my opinion, women's fiction with a little bit of magic. This had a little more magic than some, but the book really, the main focus of the book was the main character figuring out how to trust herself, not let everybody in her life walk all over her, and how to believe in herself that she had the power to both magical and otherwise to accomplish things and to make her life the way she wanted it to be. And then there was she had to battle an ancient evil. And then she had to deal with other things. The biggest thing for me is um, she has a love interest in the book, but she's also married and she's married and has a husband and 3 kids. Yeah, she's married and has a husband. That those 2 go together. Um, but her husband is a doctor, and I think he works for Doctors Without Borders. And she even says at some point that like they haven't spoken more than just a couple of texts in over 5 months. So for all intents and purposes, he's gone. And so like there's never at any point is there cheating or anything like that on her end. But I just feel like what it brought to the story didn't need to be there. Like, they could have completely left out the love interest, made it a friend character, and everything that he brought to the table could have been just a friend, and the husband didn't need to exist. I understand why he existed because he walked all over her, and that was something she needed to overcome, but I feel like it could have been dealt with a different way because they were in it so little. Like, even the love interest was in it so little that it could have been something different, you know? But because again, it's in that little section of genres where they're trying to see, or where they're trying to sell us, like a romance that's also women's fiction that's a little magical. They had to put a love interest in it to make us interested in the story, I guess, but it didn't really need to be there. And it is what it is. I give it a 4 star. So what I told Julie was like, this year in the year of reading slumps, which I can no longer say I'm in, at this point, you can't say you're in one. But at the beginning of the year, I decided that I was not going to rate based off of my typical rating scale. Um, it's really just been all vibes this year because I was not enjoying anything and was barely reading. Um, and I'm continuing that for the entire year. At the beginning of next year, I'll go back to my more detailed ratings. But I don't want the year to be offset by switching back to the more detailed rating in the middle of the year. Listen, it doesn't matter. I know it doesn't, but to me, it matters. Um, but in the complete and total vibes, it's a 4 star. On last year's rating scale, it probably would have been like a 3.5 or a 3.25. So, you know, just it was good, but it could have used another round of edits. And I'll definitely read more from the author in the future because I did have a good time. So, hello, Neva! Exclamations. Yes, you are my friend. Hello. I didn't like it as much as the Even Fall Witches. I was kind of bored. Yeah, agreed with the husband and the crush. Absolutely. But like it was pulling the nostalgia, Buffy, Hocus Pocus, etc. But I wasn't that interested in the character's journey. I did like the character's journey. I do think that, I mean, obviously for you and me, it's not really reflective of our lives, but I can see how if there was someone who was in her mid 30s, had children, had a husband who kind of walked all over them and was dealing with that, I think it could be good for them to kind of learn, or not to learn how, but to see someone else kind of like employ the skill set to make their lives better. So I can see how it, could be reflective of some people's lifestyles. Obviously not mine, but I think women's fiction has a place. And I respect the fact that there are books like that. One of the I'm reading right now. Well, I would show you. It's right over there. You can kind of see it. A Charming Touch of Tarot by Melissa Holtz. It's the second book in the Gin and Tarot Club series. And the first book in that was very much like women's fiction because the main focus was her figuring out how to get her life back together after her husband's death. But then also there was a romance, a little bit of a romance, and then also she found out she had magical powers and had to deal with them. Very similar vein. There's a huge grouping of those books. Um, and some are better than others. It was good, but wasn't like the best thing I ever read. So, what are you doing, honey? You hitting me with your tail? She's hitting me with her tail. Okay. We're going to do some spreads tonight. As I said, I'm going to be reading The Creeping, working on the planner. I don't know how long we're going to be here. We're going to do at least 2 1-hour spreads. I do have to get up early tomorrow. I have a big weekend ahead of me. We're extra. My Nana is on vacation this weekend with one of my cousins. So we've got some of my cousin's kids. Plus, we have to take care of my aunt that lives with Nana, plus Nana's kid that lives with her. I got extra kids this weekend, so I actually have to be awake in the morning to make breakfast, and I'm feeding an extra 5 people. Okay. So I have a life this weekend. Egads. I read the first two books in the author's witchy cozy mystery series and like those better, In the Company of Witches and When the Crows Flew Away. I have heard of In the Company of Witches, and I did see that that's something that she wrote, and I did read that that was cozy. And I think if you went into the Late Night Witches expecting cozy, you would be very disappointed because it's very much not cozy. Um, but again, they're just all little. There's all little sections in the genres. Like they're so specific. Um, but you just kind of have to know what you like. It's all good. I've read things I've enjoyed more. The last 3 books I read were mid-grade, and they were all fantastic. Um, one of them is a reread. I reread Witchlings, which is one of my favorites for the readathon, so just saying. Living the dream in a dream world. Where's the button? Button, who's got the button? You know what? It's over here. I'm not even looking for it in the right place. That would be helpful. Anywho, we're going to make sure that this is on 1 time speed because that's the first most important thing. It is. Look at us go. We're going to do a 1 hour sprint, and I will see you guys in 1 hour. Hello, friends. Welcome back to Sprinty Sprints. Let me know how you did during that sprint. I got a lot updated in my planner. I think I'm ready to read for the night. I definitely still have more to do. I am 100% behind on actually writing things into my reading journal, but I have all of the stickers in and all of like the titles and all of the ratings and everything in. I just have to like go in and write down some thoughts. I like to keep just a few things in the reading journal that they're like spoilers that I wouldn't leave somewhere else, but if I'm like reading a sequel, it helps me remember, you know, what the book was about, or things that I want to note in a wrap up or things like that. Things I don't necessarily put into a review on Goodreads are kind of what go into my reading journal. So um I just have some notes I need to leave myself. But otherwise, everything is all caught up for my 87 readathons that I'm doing right now. And we're all good in there. So for the next sprint, I can actually read. It will probably be my last sprint of the night because, here I am yawning already as if I'm tired or something. Hello, Jamie. Welcome in. Whoop, that's not what I wanted to click on. I did well. I have 100 pages left in my book, hoping to finish it tonight. Excellent. Got to 70% in The House of Unexpected Sisters by Alexander McCall Smith and made coffee. Coffee is good this time of night. Clearly, I need some. Got distracted for half that sprint, did a couple of chores, and listened to a chapter and a half of The Hills Have Spies. I hear cats moving. Next sprint, I have to feed the cats. I am once again surrounded by hungry fur kids. I didn't feed the cats tonight, but they've also not bothered me for food, so that leads me to believe that someone else has fed them. They get fed twice a day, usually around like 9 in the morning and around 6:30 in the evening. During this time of the year when mom's home anyway. It's more 6:30 and 6:30 in the wintertime because I am gone by 7 o'clock in the morning. So, but I don't, mom probably fed them late this afternoon is probably what happened. They probably got fed late earlier today. And so they haven't got to their, well, why aren't you feeding me yet for the evening? Which usually happens around 6:30, 7 o'clock. They're like, hello, we would like the food stuff. Them and the dogs. The dogs also go into a where's my food mode. So gotta love them. We love the babies. Canned food twice. And night feeding is usually 7 to 8. Yeah, as I say, not that we're not all overweight in my house, but Flash has gotten exceptionally overweight. Which for those of you who don't know is my Australian Shepherd. He's my doggo. Average size for a male Australian Shepherd is about 55 pounds. And he is so much bigger than they're supposed to be. He's a pureblood, so we don't know where the size comes from. But he is taller and longer than they should be anyway. But he also was chubby and he weighed about 105 pounds. And he's a very big boy. But he's been having problems with one of his back legs, which hilariously, not the leg that he broke when he got hit by a car, because he's dumb and he likes to play in traffic. He got hit by a car when he was a puppy. He was like a year old, and it completely dislocated his back leg bone from his hip. and they basically were like, um, you can either pay for a $5,000 surgery or you can just put him on bed rest and it'll fuse itself back together and he'll probably have a limp. And we were like, well, we're poor, so he can limp. And he doesn't limp on that leg, hasn't his whole life. But the other side, for some reason, he's 9 now, has started to um, become a problem for him. And because he's so heavy, um, not very helpful, you know? So the dogs, everybody in the house is on a diet, humans included. And so now they only get fed twice a day. They get a specific amount of food. We've always been like a free feed household. Um, because we've never had any problems with anybody having food aggression or dogs that just like eat the whole, eat the bowl every time you put food in front of them. We've never really had those kinds of problems. Um, but the main thing was that we had to very politely also ask Nana, who, again, we all live on the same property, they're in the same yard. We had to ask her to not feed her dog outside and to put her cat's food up so that our dogs weren't going over there to eat the food there, to curb that as well. And he's probably lost at least 15 pounds in the last 6 months, probably 20. Like he is very thin. He's a big boy, but not as big. How popular right before food time. This is very true. I don't love it. I want them to leave me alone for 5 minutes because food time is like right when I get home, and I'm like, I just need a minute. Okay. He does not have any issues. They are very, here's the thing. Australian Shepherds are supposed to be active. They are supposed to run around a lot. They have a lot of energy. And mine do. If you're doing something with them, like they love to run, they love to go out to the horse barn and like they'll play the field with the horses. They love to help load horses. They'll go on trail rides and like run their little butts off. But they love to be with their human. And so, like, if I'm sitting here on the couch vegetating all day, they will lay in my lap and vegetate all day. Like, they don't care. So, I also have the most lazy Australian Shepherds of all time. And I've had 5 of them, and they were all lazy. So I think they just are like they've all been very active as far as like um running around and doing farm chores, but they are not like they none of them have been big toy players or anything. Like my cousin has a chocolate lab, and when I dog sit for her, the entire dog sitting is just me spending days on end throwing a ball across the house for her to fetch and bring it back to me and then throw it and then throw it and then throw my dogs have never done that. Thank the Lord. They they just they just want to curl up and sleep. They think they're lap dogs, and with the exception of when Flash is trying to suffocate me, I love it. They do. They like to be with their people. They like to go for walks. They like to go for runs. They like to play with the horsies, but they also like to take a nap, and I can relate. Rescue kittens, dry food is free fed, but also for all my cats, it's a healthy weight. A bit chubby though. Yeah, I see. Here's the thing. Merlin, wherever she is currently, Merlin doesn't look overweight most of the time, but sometimes the way she lays, you're like, that's a fat cat. And when you try to pick her, she is solid. Like that is a heavy, she probably weighs 3 times as much as Raja does. And they both like Raja probably eats more than Merlin. I think they say like when you get them spayed, they tend to gain weight. And I think because Merlin got spayed so late and Raj got spayed so early, I think Raj never went through a heat cycle. So I think she never had those hormones. And I just think that she didn't grow. I think she stayed smaller because of that. Whereas Merlin is a chunk. And like we're not a wet food household. They get treats at night, but it's like for little treats. Like they get treats when the dogs get their medications and the bird gets her food at night. So yeah, it's wild. Like I'm sure part of it too is that Merlin is a complete house cat. She does not go outside. With the occasion of about once a year, she'll sneak out and you won't see her for a couple of days. But Raj is inside outside. She goes as she pleases, especially during December because she can open and close the door. So she's evil and we love her. My oldest cat, Katarina, is announcing that they are all starving, wasting away. And where the heck is their dinner? You know, I feel that. Not right now because I'm very full from dinner. Me and my 5 extra people I had to feed on a night where I was doing a live stream, everybody got fed frozen pizza. It was fantastic. Tomorrow, however, I'm doing a big batch lasagna day, and I'm probably going to end up making like 5 to 7 pans of lasagna. Most of them for the freezer. I do it once a year. I make the world's largest pot of pasta sauce with like homemade tomato sauce, but also mix in some regular store-bought stuff and get out my giant witch's pot. I have to occasionally, depending on the texture of the gear, have to get out a step ladder in order to reach the bottom of the pot when I'm stirring. Like I need to be up higher so that I can reach further down in it. Which I used to do at Olive Garden. When I worked at Olive Garden, they have like these giant soup kettles in the back. And when I was on soup, I had to get on a step ladder in order to actually reach in, like to be able to stir the bottoms of the soup kettles. And I feel like that at home sometimes when I do big batch lasagna days. But I mean, once you've already made the stuff for it, you might as well just make 7 more, you know? Love lasagna. Yeah, food is important. I love having frozen lasagnas for the purpose of someone goes, "Oh crap, 2 days from now, I forgot one of the kids has a thing and we are supposed to take a covered dish," and I'm like, "Go to the freezer, get a lasagna." Like, that has happened more than once. You know, when you got a big family, fun things like that happen. Any hoozle, we're gonna do sprints. This is gonna be our final sprint of the evening because again, I have to be up early in the morning so I can make breakfast for all of the people. Which means I can't sleep till noon like I normally do, unfortunately for me. Boo doo ba doo boo boo. Where's the button I want? I think we're all good. I need to hit this button. We're gonna do dancing skellies. And we will see you guys in 1 hour. Well, friends, that was the end of our final sprint for the evening. Let me know how you did. I read a whopping 29 pages of The Creeping. I think it was 29. Yeah. The first 29. Um, I'm liking the vibe so far, but I don't know that the writing style is necessarily for me. But it also may be because I'm reading it physically and my brain doesn't like to read physically. Um, because dyslexia. Um, but there have definitely been a lot of parts where I've had to like stop and reread a sentence because the sentence didn't make any sense. Um, the choice of connector words and placements of things in sentences, it feels like someone who's uh, in some parts it almost feels like it's translated and not well. But I know that's not the case, and so I think it's just me not being able to read it. Um, but yeah, I'm enjoying the vibes, so I'm gonna keep reading it. But my brain was just like, I don't that sentence. Do those two words go together? Is that where that goes? Should that be an of or a that? I'm not sure. This doesn't really make sense this way. Are these two sentences the same thing? Was definitely took me out of it a little bit, but not the end of the world. And again, it's probably just me and my dyslexic ass trying to read, so you know. We were joined by Christina. Hello, hello. I hope your brain feels better ASAP. Brains are evil. Jamie's debating whether to record a Dewey's TBR video. May not stick to it by mid-morning, but I did make a TBR. I mean, you never know. Finished the floating world and got submitted for my last day 3 encounter. And now to find a downtime book or 2 for the weekend. Excellent. Did some dishes, listened to more of The Hills Have Spies. About 1 hour left, so I should be finished. So I should finish this and my other book tomorrow. Excellent. Make sure you log those books so we can get all of our points, Tennille. 37% into my book and fed all the cats. Went from 7 cats on the bed to just 4. But didn't abandon me entirely this time. I have something in my eye. It burns. Or my eye's just tired of reading. One of the two. I read about 50 pages. We'll probably stay up and finish the book because I'm close to the end. I love that for you. Yeah, Merlin's around. She heard me say her name. That sounds like a book that needs more editing. I don't know if it's the book or just me. I as I was reading it, I was like, I really wish there was an audio for this book because I feel like I would be having an easier time with it. Part of it is the tense. Um it's in present tense, which is always a struggle for me. Um First person, present tense, but then also like there's flashbacks in it, which so then the tense changes, and I think it's just not working for my brain. And because I've because I've trained my brain to read with my specific set of dyslexia, because all dyslexics are different, like my brain just expects certain words to come after certain groups of words. Um and so I don't actually read full sentences. And so it's like I get to a certain place and then I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And so it's more what my brain is expecting to find versus what it's actually finding. Um, but yeah, it's uh it's a struggle, but I will keep trying because again, I'm liking the vibes and I'm liking the story. I just wish there was an audiobook. Already looked 3 encounters and 2 extras. Been logging every couple of days assign. Excellent day. Get us all the points to need. I did my 3 encounters and I'm at 1 extra so far. I'll probably get at least 1 more in before the end of the weekend. Strongly dislike first person present tense even when it's done well, and it's usually not done well. See, and that's the thing is like I don't know that I've read a bunch of first person present tense. And so I think that's why my brain is not trained to read it yet. So, I mean, to be fair, I think I've only read um 6 books purely with my eyeballs this year. Um of this I think today I finished my 80th book and the besides those 6 they've all either been audiobook or a combination of audio and physical. So, you know, it's not great. Tend to translate sentences I read with that tense to turn them past tense, and it's exhausting and distracting. I think that's what I'm doing. I think I am my brain is so used to putting in past tense verbiage that it's doing that, and then I'm like, this sentence doesn't make any sense, and so I'm having to go back and reread the sentence. Convention shorter book compared to fantasy junkers. I mean, if you're reading more spooky books, those do tend to be shorter, typically. A few of the YA books I've tried this year were doing first person present tense seems like a trend. And see, that's it too, is this is a YA, and I don't read nearly as much YA as I used to. But this is a republished. Um, this was originally published in 2015. So it was like re-edited and republished this year. I got this as part of a marketing campaign for some of Alexandra's newer books. And it sounds super cool and super creepy. And, you know, YA creepy is where I live. But I am struggling with the tense, so we'll see what happens. If nothing else, if I do continue to struggle with this one, she has another book called The Telling. Actually, it's just 2 other books, The Telling and then First We Were Four, and both of those have audiobooks, but this one doesn't. So I don't know if they took the old one off and are redoing one for this re-edited version, or if there just has never been one for this book and there are ones for the other 2. But you know, there's always other things from this author that I can try if this continues to not work for my brain. But we'll see. I think that's going to be it for me tonight, kids. Next weekend, I'm not doing sprints because we have Neva's 24-hour reading sprints. And then the following weekend, I also won't be doing sprints because Friday will be sprints on Margaret's channel for the end of the Readathon because it will be the last day of the month, also Halloween. So I will probably be just bouncing onto Margaret's channel. And I don't know who is doing sprints at my normal sprint time. Neva and Brooklyn. So I may pop into sprints for Neva and Brooklyn next week, depending on if I feel like being alive or not. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your weekend. You get all of the reading in, especially if you're on my team. And, you know, log all of your points. We want all of the points. And until then, I will see you guys next time. Bye.